Hey guys, it's Jason with your Hopium-Free crypto channel. Today we're looking at Ethereum, looking at some price projections moving forward into this bull market after our solid 60% correction. Also going to check out Ethereum against its previous run in 2017, check out some similarities there just to ease those nerves after such a solid dump. Now that I've recovered from my morning dump, make sure you hit that like button down below, subscribe to the channel, bell notification icon. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram for daily Q&As on stories. Let's get started. Our market cap is looking somewhat solid right now, $1.67 trillion. Remember, we continue to look at the overall market cap because that gives us an idea of where the money is flowing to and our support levels. As we've said in previous videos, we're looking at around $1.33 trillion as the overall market cap support level. Bitcoin, 700 billion, ETH, 316 billion. Overall, ETH is at 19% and Bitcoin dominance is at 42%. So ETH is just slightly under the 50% zone at the moment. Cardano, as we covered yesterday, at 56 billion. Binance hot on its tail, 55. And overnight, we've seen a pretty solid increase on a lot of these cryptos. So Bitcoin's moved up a little bit, 6%, 7%, and everyone goes wild because, we've fallen 50, 60% overall. And now we see a lot of these top coins up around 15, 16, 20% for Chainlink. The main one that we wanted to have a look at as well is Matic, only up 2%. So as you can see, these start to balance out. They start to level out. Matic took off early in the recovery phase, and now some of these other cryptos are moving up again more so than what Matic is. So if you're not trading these things, I wouldn't get carried away with the day-to-day fluctuations of prices. It's really there just to make you feel at ease. At least that's what I see with a lot of news that's being put out there. All right, if you're trading, SwiftX, there's a link to this down below in the description for the Aussie guys. We're just looking at the portfolio here. So this is currently sitting at around 14,400. Remember, we got in at the top of the market in February, and we're only up about 12% at the moment. I'm thinking about redistributing some of these cryptocurrencies, so possibly selling off some Wi-Fi and maybe getting a little more ADA and Solana at this point. But we'll stick to that and continue tracking the market day to day. Fear and greed, another important one to look at. Today we are at 20, so it doesn't come into our Bitcoin purchasing plan. Yesterday was at 18, last week 22. So with that filter, that gives us the 20th, 22nd, 23rd, 24th, and the 30th of May. All pretty good looking times at this stage to be buying into Bitcoin. So it's just an easy way to get into this market without losing too much of your mind with the emotions. As I said, if you haven't followed Twitter, go over there. There's a lot of new stuff that I'm posting at the moment. So check that out, especially to do with this sort of thing that I'm seeing posted around on Twitter. Take it easy out there. People are just relating this sort of fear time to March of 2020. Nothing is exactly the same. I hope you guys are seeing that by now if you've been following the channel for some time. I'm doing something a little different today. I've got a sponsored segment. These guys are sponsoring the video today, Parsiq or Parsiq. So they are a blockchain. They turn blockchain data into actions. I see them similar to something like Zapier. If you've ever used that in your e-commerce stores where you need to get a trigger for an action and get it to do something in the real world, this is what I understand Parsiq to be. Now they've got some news coming up that is looking pretty good for them. They've just been announced on KuCoin, and they've also got a new investor here who is with Facebook, head of research on Novi at Facebook, and also an advisor at Chainlink. As I mentioned, the other news as well for Parsiq is KuCoin listing. So they are getting their name out there, currently under $110 million, so sitting around $102 million. They were recently under $100 million as well, but now at around that $102 million mark. They've also got a product that is usable now, not waiting for blockchains to hard fork and get smart contracts, but they have something now that is usable. Parsiq introduced smart triggers into the crypto world, allowing real-time on-chain events to trigger off-chain actions, giving developers the possibility to automate workflows, creating endless ways to interact with real-world applications, maximizing possibilities while focusing on being cost-effective. They have integrations with Bitcoin, Ethereum, Dash, BSC, Google Sheets, Telegram, Solana, Ocean, Chainlink, just to name a few of these here. And of course, Algorand as well. So there's a lot of work going on behind the scenes for Parsiq. And as I've mentioned, they have the new investor on board, someone who has experience with Facebook and an advisor for Chainlink. Plus, they're now on KuCoin. So thank you to Parsiq for sponsoring today's video. Now to our little fun segment about Ethereum. Ethereum's sitting at 2,700. It's at 44.77% of Bitcoin's value. We believe it should be at least half of Bitcoin's value, especially with how much is building on Ethereum. And we've seen a pump in DeFi applications as well over the last 24 hours, with ETH getting a little bump there. So we're down 19 days since the all-time high, so 19 days under the old all-time high. And as I've talked about before, I suspect this is going to be 1 to 3 months thereabouts, possibly a little bit longer into 6 months. The reason for explaining that on most videos is that we get these movements of 5% or 15%. And if you're new to the space, I guess you may think, at least that's the way I see it out there, is that people will believe that the market should just be going straight up from this point. You know, it's like the new bull is back. Really, just take a step back. We've gone up for over a year now with many of the major cryptocurrencies. It is okay for the market to have a rest period of a few months. That is completely okay. And we'll see that in the charts in just a moment as well, with what happened to Ethereum in 2017. Now there's a lot of stuff coming up for ETH as well. Ropsten testnet, that is coming up in a week's time. The main one that we're all waiting for is the London hard fork on 31st of July. So maybe we can expect Ethereum to creep up slowly into these hard forks. It's going to be a bit difficult in this time where the market isn't as bullish as it was 2 months ago. But nonetheless, I still see this as being a pretty big movement for Ethereum in its fundamental space. And this, of course, is potentially going to bring Ethereum into a deflationary type environment. It's not a deflationary crypto, but with the hard fork coming up and EIP 1559, these are the sort of things that could lead ETH to being a lot more scarce. Speaking of scarce, more than 5 million in Ethereum worth 13 billion rests in ETH2 staking. So if you're unsure of what all this is about, ETH 2.0 has staking. You're earning somewhere around 7% interest on that ETH, but you have to lock up the ETH into the new ETH, the ETH 2.0. So you can't bring it back into ETH. So the reason for doing that is to eventually get everyone across to the new Ethereum. And so currently we just see 5 million ETH worth around 13 billion. It's bringing scarcity to the Ethereum network at the moment, and I suspect over time people are going to continue to migrate over to ETH 2.0. DeFi tokens rally as Ethereum jumps 11%. As crypto markets rise from its weekend slumber, ETH racks up some significant gains, and we've seen Chainlink, just as we did earlier on, jump around 20%. So Chainlink's up back to $32, 20% over the last 24 hours. ETH has gone up 11% to 2,640. Do I think this is going to continue all the way to 4,000? Probably not. We're definitely in a period where we are sideways and uncertain. And so with any news of any sort of rises, I know that's going to be on the forefront of a lot of investors' minds who bought back at 4,000. And it's going to be a bit of a waiting game from this period. Should we get a V-shaped recovery and just take off to 4.5K? Cool. But the longer we're down here, the more time we have to accumulate, the more time that we will potentially lengthen into this bull market. That's what you want to see. You don't want to see get rich quick schemes and prices shooting up straight away, because eventually that dumps very quickly as well, as we've just seen. We saw it go from 2,000 to 4,500 back down to 1,700. So we want to avoid that moving forward. Now onto our favorite part, and it's the chart. We have Ethereum, we have a monthly chart. The month has just closed. We're just slightly under last month's close of 2,777. We've closed at 2,707. Not too far off. Our 50% level is around the 2,200 level. And if we are taking it from our previous low here, it's about the same, around 2,300. So provided we stay above these levels and close above them moving forward, we're still in a very strong position. Now, what we saw last time, we're down 60%. Massive move up and down in the 1 month. Last time in 2017, we saw a very hefty drop as well within a few weeks. So this was 67% from June into July. Now, if we step this down into a weekly chart, we can see the length of this move for Ethereum, and it did last 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks into the low. Now, before it crossed its all-time high again, was around 6 months. So there's 23 bars. So just short of 6 months, about 5.5 months there. Do I think that's going to happen this time? Quite possibly. We've had very similar ranges this time around as well. We have this sort of 1 year moves up, 6 months across, and then another sort of 6 to 12 months up again. I've mentioned this in previous videos several months ago, and we'll continue to follow up with the time tracing of Ethereum. This time around, though, we crashed within about a week and a half. So let's drop it down to a daily chart, count those days, and into that low was 11 days. So just short of 2 weeks, about a week and a half, whereas last time it was around 4 weeks. So I think people are much more alert to the possibility of losing their money very, very quickly. And so that brings on a whole lot of fear and terror quite quickly, and then we happen to see a bounce. Now, we're not out of the woods yet. We are still stuck in this range, just under our support levels, or underneath a nice psychological level of $3,000. But the good news is we are sitting above our 50%, and that's the most important point right now. The other piece to look at is our 50% from the high to the low, and our 50% comes out at 3,000. So it's a psychological level right there. So this is the bearish trend of Ethereum. Ideally, we want to get a nice slow grind up and close above 3,000. The major level is the 2300. So far ETH is looking pretty safe at these levels. If it was to fall again, I like these levels as accumulation, because the risk reward at the moment for me is amazing. Way better than obviously buying up at $4,000. And if you've ever been wanting to get into the markets, create yourself a plan like I've done on the previous videos. If you don't have a plan, check out the Bitcoin plan as well using fear and greed, and see how you can relate that to Ethereum. Because as we get these really fearful days, they are shaping up to be pretty good buy opportunities. This is just based on history, of course, using the Fear and Greed Index. So check that last video out. ETH at the moment, let's have a look at some targets moving forward. So some major targets. So we'll move back to a macro chart of a monthly. So I've got my bland bars back just so I can cut some of the noise out. Now I'm using the major lows, and these are monthly swing down. So this is a monthly swing low, and we currently have a potential monthly swing low. Well, this will create a swing in the chart. So $309 back here, and then our top, and then anchor it to the bottom again. And what we have moving forward is around 5,900. So call it around 6K, so 58 to 6K. That is the 100% level of this current range that we've done. So I'm looking for that range to repeat, and I'm probably looking for that range to extend, considering what I think is going to happen moving forward. I don't think this is going to happen in the next month or this month. I think this is going to take some time. Maybe we see 1 or 2 months in this zone, maybe 3 months, and then we obviously climb our way back into the old all-time highs and start to move from that point. So the level is 58, and I'm looking at around 150% range. So that's up at around $7,900. As you can see here, there's 1.5. And these also line up with our other fib extensions. So again, anchoring off our low, not using the other monthly low at this point, but the major low in the COVID crash of March 2020 to the high, and then checking out where the 161 and the 200% land. It's at around 6,900, so 7K, and then another one at around 8.5K. So do I think we're going to get to 20 or 27,000 in this cycle? I honestly don't think so. I don't think we're going to be in that 27K range. I think we're still going to be somewhere into the low 5 figures. We got to see how we fare from this low, and then we will have a much better idea of projecting the next price target moving forward. So currently I've got around the 6 to 7K as the next target. If I'm using this low, which is a closer major low, so just to be a little more conservative, again, it's around 6,800 to 8,200. So 6K, 7K. Nice, easy round numbers to remember. From where we are, the percentage return to around the 6K level is about 130%. So the returns are very much diminishing at this point. Should we get to around the 8K level, that's going to give us around 200%. So let's keep in mind that a call out at around 20K is pretty far-fetched, in my opinion, of course. If I've got a 10-year horizon, quite possibly. But if I have a 6 to 12-month horizon, really pay attention to the charts at this point in time. I'm going to continue to follow up with Ethereum. I think this may be the low. If it isn't the low, then we have another price point to project price targets from in the future. But stick around on the channel. Join me for the next video I have coming out on Bitcoin, and I'll see you either on the channel or on Instagram for daily Q&As. Make sure you hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, bell notification icon. Catch you then. And until then, have more fun to get more done.